In problem 5.2, we are being asked to find what values of x make these equations true. So we want to focus on finding all the values of x that make the equation true. And I just want to point out before we start solving, all 8 of these problems, the functions are equal to 0. So we just want to know, what do we plug in for x that makes the equation equal to 0? So if we're looking at number 1, there are 3 factors to look at: x plus 4, x plus 2, and then x minus 1. So you just want to ask yourself, what makes each of these factors 0? So for the first one, you're going to get negative 4, because negative 4 plus 4 is going to give you 0. For this middle factor, negative 2 would give you a 0, and then positive 1. So remember, when you are trying to figure out what makes a function equal to 0, you're actually finding the zeros of the function. So number 1, there's 1, 2, 3 answers. So there are 3 zeros to this polynomial. Another name for the zeros are the solutions. So we jump down to number 2. I'm just going to separate my factors for you. So there's x plus 4, x plus 2, x minus 1, and x minus 3. So what makes each of these individual factors 0? Negative 4 works for the first one, negative 2, positive 1, positive 3. So in example number 2, we actually have 4 zeros to this polynomial. If I jump down to number 3, I'm going to put my line down, those 2 factors, and notice that they're just saying, what do I plug into here and then square it? That gives you 0. Well, the only number that you can square to get you 0 is 0, right? 0 squared is just equal to 0. So I just want to know what makes each of these 0. So negative 4 is going to work here, because negative 4 plus 4 is 0, 0 squared is 0, and negative 2 would work for that second. So in problem number 3, there are only 2 zeros. In number 4, you've got this negative 2 out front. You've got x minus 4, x minus 2, x plus 1, and then the x plus 3. There is nothing to solve in this negative 2. So you don't have to worry about finding what makes that 0. But if you look at this factor, positive 4 is going to work. Positive 2 is going to work for x minus 2. Negative 1 is going to work for x plus 1. And then negative 3 is going to work for x plus 3. And that makes 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Number 5, we've got 2x plus 8, one factor, 7x minus 3, second factor, and then x minus 10 for your third factor. This is pretty easy to figure out, this third one. It's going to be 10. This first one, I know that negative 8 plus 8 is 0, so I want to get a negative 8 there. So 2 times negative 4 would give me that negative 8. Now, a lot of you probably might get a little stumped on this middle one. 3 minus 3 is 0, but I got to figure out, what do I multiply 7 by to get me to 3? So if you do get stumped on these types, it's sometimes helpful to go off to the side and just set it equal to 0. So to move the negative 3 to the other side, you're going to add 3. So you're going to get 7x is equal to 3, because you're adding 3. And then to move the 7 over, you're going to divide by 7. So x is equal to 3 divided by 7, or 3 sevenths. And that's going to give you your answer for that one. So in this polynomial, you have 3 zeros. In number 6, just got to pause and be careful here, because it is not in factored form. This is not in factored form. If you recall from the last unit that we worked on, this is in standard form, so we just got to factor it. So this is a quadratic, so x times x gives you x squared, And then what multiplies to negative 4 but adds to positive 3? So we're going to get a positive 4 and a negative 1, because 4 times negative 1 is negative 4, and 4 take away 1 is going to give you that positive 3. So now that we have it in factored form, negative 4 makes the first one 0, and positive 1 makes the second one 0. So this polynomial has 2 zeros. If we look at number 7, we've got this x out front as a factor, 3 minus x as a factor, x minus 1, and then x plus 0.75. So don't get tripped up on that first one. The only thing that's going to make that first one 0, that first factor, is 0. Positive 3 for here, because 3 minus 3 is 0. Positive 1 for here, because 1 minus 1 is 0. And then in this last one, it's going to be a negative 0.75. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 zeros for number 7. And then our last one, number 8, put that little line down. The second factor, x plus 9, that's pretty easy. Negative 9. In the first factor, it's saying what number squared take away 4 gives you 0. And a lot of you guys know that 4 minus 4 is going to give you 0. Right? What number squared minus 4 gives you 0? Well, we know that 4 take away 4 is equal to 0. So what number squared gives you 4? Most of you are probably saying in your head, 2. And I agree with you. But don't forget that negative 2 also works, because negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. So in number 8, even though you only see 2 factors, this is actually 3 zeros, because you've got positive 2, negative 2, and negative 9. All 3 of those numbers work to make it 0, so you have 3 zeros.